Well, hi, my friends. Welcome to my starry, starry night. Do you like looking up at the stars? I do too. And I'm really lucky because I live out in the country, so there aren't a lot of street lights and there are no big buildings around. So it's really dark in my backyard. And when I go outside and look up, I can see so many stars. They're really beautiful. And there are so many of them, like millions of them, right? Well, actually, I did some research and there are more than millions of stars. In fact, some scientists think there are 100,000 million stars just in the Milky Way alone. And if we talk about the whole wide universe, well, some scientists say there are 70 septillion. Now, I don't know how many that is. That's just a great big number, right? It's probably like a seven with a million zeros after it. All I know, gazillion, million, billion, there are a lot of stars and they're beautiful. And they remind me of today's Bible story. You'll remember last week we talked about God's promise to Noah. Well, this week we're going to talk about God's promise to Abraham. Now, Abraham was a good man, but not perfect by any means, and he was older, about 75, when God came to him and said, Abraham, I want you to move from this land to a brand new land. Well, that could be kind of exciting, right? I mean, some of us move from one house into another, or move into a different neighborhood, or maybe we move schools and we were out of our neighborhood altogether, and that can be kind of exciting. But let's go back to Abraham. These were different times. This was a long time ago. And God said he wanted him to take just his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot and leave their father's home, leave all the land they were used to working on, and go far, far away to a new land that God was going to give to Abraham. And he said, I will make it special. I will make it blessed. And I will bless you, Abraham. You will be the father of many, many generations. Well, Abraham said to God, how can I be the father of many generations? I'm not even the father of a single child right now. And he was already 75. But this is where God comes in, because he can make anything happen. And God assured him that he would have a child and that he would be the father of nations, the father of all of us, of generations, like my father and your father and our mom and dad's father and our grandparents' father and our grandparents' 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 father. He just meant all the generations. This was a start of a new world, a new church, a new following. And we're all part of it now because Abraham said yes. And do you know why? Because as scary as it would be, he had to leave almost everybody he knew. He had to go far away to a land he'd never been to before. That, my friends, is faith. So Abraham picked up with Sarah and Lot, and away they went to a brand new land. And you know what happened a few years after that? Well, God always keeps his promises, doesn't he? And he gave Abraham and Sarah a son that they named Isaac. Now, you have to keep in mind, Sarah was 90 and Abraham was 100 when the baby was born. That, my friends, is a miracle. You tell your mums and dads, that doesn't normally happen now. Whew, they'll be quite happy to hear that, believe me. Anyway, they had a son. God kept his promise, and he performed a miracle as well, giving them a son so late in life. Well, let's come back to these stars, because God had something to say about them as well. When he was talking to Abraham, he said, Abraham, you will have more descendants, that's like more children, than all the stars in the sky. Well, if we know that there are 70 septillion, million, gazillion, billion stars, that's a lot of people, right? And that's a lot of people for generations and generations. There are only 8 billion people in the world right now, so there's still a lot of room for more people to join this amazing world that God has made. The stars are beautiful, and they're a good reminder to us of God keeping his promises. Last week we learned about the rainbow that reminds us. Now you can use these stars to remind you too. There's something else I want you to remember from today's story. Remember I told you that Abraham wasn't a perfect man. He tried to follow God, and he also was older. Sometimes we kind of write off people who are older. We don't think they have anything to give. But they do. Look what Abraham did. He became the father of a whole new nation. And sometimes I wonder if we think, I'm too young or I'm too little to make a difference. But that's the amazing thing this story is telling us, is you're never too old, you're never too young, you're never too bad. God, working through us, can make amazing things happen. And I think that is a pretty impressive message, don't you? You remember at Christmas, we talked about stars as well. We talked about how the stars led people to the baby Jesus, and that we have to be stars to lead people to Jesus as well. Well, today is another reminder of that incredible truth. We are stars who can help lead people to the Word of God and the message of Jesus. We are truly blessed, my friends. Have a wonderful day and a starry night. Take care. Bye-bye.